And it looks like we are live, so let's go ahead and get this started in 3, 2, 1. This is Life is Leet episode 14 for Saturday, April 19, 2014. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Life is Leet. This is a podcast of nerds yelling at microphones about things. I am Jesse Hanna, and joining me today, as always, is my younger brother and my co-host on this here thing, Aaron. How you doing today, Aaron?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that it looks a little bit different. That's because I've finally decided to figure out how to do awesome things with the video stream. So you're not just looking at me anymore. We've got kind of a background image there, and we've got a couple kind of cool little things that will be shown later in the episode. But that'll come later. Let's go ahead and get things started. First off, quick shout out that I want to give. There's it's one of many podcasts that I listen to. It's called Ladies of Leet. It's a gaming podcast, and all of the hosts are women, as you can probably tell from the title.
Of course.
And
No, they're all robots.
Well, clearly, yeah. Anyway, they will be celebrating their 100th episode this coming week. I believe it's on Thursday that they'll be recording that. So just wanted to give a quick shout out of congratulations to them on that. And it is a really good podcast. I definitely recommend it for anyone who's interested in video games to go check out and listen to. So yeah, congratulations to them, and I hope we're able to keep this up long enough to eventually get to 100 episodes. Okay. It'll take a while, but we're getting there. I mean, we're on episode 14. That's not too shabby for a podcast to keep going that as long as we have so far. I mean, it's nothing like The Instance, which is closing in on 400 almost, or Anime Pulse, which just hit 400, but I'm having fun doing this still. Are you?
Yeah.
Well, cool. So yeah, congratulations to the Ladies of Leet, and let's go ahead and get our show going with, as always, games. All right, and we usually start off with what we've been playing the past week, but this time I want to start with the fact that I completely forgot a thing last week. So let's rectify that.
It's a pretty big thing.
It kind of is. I'm kind of embarrassed that I forgot about it as completely as I did. Borderlands the pre-sequel was announced last week, April 9 actually, so 10 days ago from when we're recording this, and it takes place between Borderlands 1 and 2, and it tells the story of
a pre-sequel.
Well, yes. But it tells the story of how Handsome Jack kind of came to power and all the events that happened between, Borderlands 1 and 2. It's going to be coming, I don't think we have a release date or window for it yet, but it's going to be coming to the 360 and the PS3 and to PC. So it's not for next gen consoles. Some people are disappointed about that, but meh. I've still got both my PS3 and my 360. I don't have any next gen consoles yet, so I don't think it's as big a deal as some people are making it out to be. But what we do know about it is that you can play as characters from both Borderlands and from Borderlands 2, including Claptrap. Yeah, you heard me. You can play as Claptrap in Borderlands the pre-sequel.
Oh boy.
And I don't know if that's a selling point or something that will be a warning to people to stay away, or it's going to be interesting to see how that works, though. So I guess I'm looking forward to it. But
Borderlands, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, yeah, and it is Borderlands, and we do have a bit. Well, I guess we talked last week about the Borderlands Vita bundle that's coming out in just a couple of weeks now. I still haven't decided whether or not I'm gonna get that. But yeah, so that happened, and we should have talked about that on last week's episode. But for whatever reason, it's completely my bad. I just forgot to put it in the show notes, so we missed it entirely. Anyway, that's happening. That's a thing that's coming sometime, and we'll let you know when we know what the release date will be for Borderlands the pre-sequel. Anyway, let's go now to what we usually start off with games, which is what we've been playing the past week. It's been another busy week for me. I got a bit of Bravely Default in. I'm on to chapter 5 now, so I guess I can't really talk about what happens there without it being a big spoiler. But anyway, I'm on chapter 5 of Bravely Default, just slowly plugging my way through that still, mostly just because I haven't had a lot of time. Most of the free time that I have had for gaming has been spent on my iPad playing Hearthstone. I'm still loving that way too much for it to at all be healthy. That's a great game, and I was going to talk about that a bit in the news. Actually, I might as well say that Hearthstone is now available on iPad worldwide, not just in the Canadian, Australian, and New Zealand iTunes stores anymore. It is out worldwide if you have an iPad 2 or newer or any iPad mini. And within 24 hours of it launching, it shot up to being the number one app in 34 countries and the number one game in 36 countries. That's after just one day on the store. Blizzard are gonna make so much freaking money off of Hearthstone being on the iPad. It's ridiculous. It's not like they haven't already been able to pave their campus in $100 bills because they have all the money. But this is just going to get them even more of all the money. And for good reason. Hearthstone is definitely worth getting if you don't mind the fact that you will never be able to do anything else ever again.
So, if you have Hearthstone on like an iPad, is all your stuff shared between the PC version and the iPad version?
Yes.
Okay.
Your card collection, your progress, all of that is stored with your Battle.net ID, which is what you use to sign into Hearthstone on the iPad. I only had to sign in once on Hearthstone on the iPad, and I even uninstalled it and then reinstalled it after it came out on the American iTunes store, and I didn't even have to sign back in with my Battle.net ID. But yeah, all your collection, your rank, your everything is stored in your Battle.net account. So that's entirely portable between the desktop, the Mac and PC versions of Hearthstone, and the iPad version.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it would make sense that they would do that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's pretty much all I've had any time to play this week. What about you, Aaron?
More Bravely Default. I'm closing in on the end of the game.
Still working on that. What chapter are you on?
7.
Okay. So again, I don't know how much I can say without really spoiling much of it. I think there is one way for the game to end on chapter 6, but then I think there's also
you can actually do it like in chapter 5.
Yeah,
but I don't think by chapter 5 you would be ready enough.
Yeah, it's either 5 or 6, but I think if you take it all the way to chapter 8, you get what's called the true ending.
Yeah.
So
whereas if you do a thing, whereas if you do another thing, which I won't spoil, then you'll get taken to just the regular ending.
Yeah.
Which it feels kind of obscure because if you go along the route as you should, you get to a true ending, but then you have to do a thing that not that you probably wouldn't think of otherwise. The game blatantly says it at some point.
Well,
you have
right.
to do something else altogether just to get to the normal ending.
Mm-hmm.
That's strange, but oh well.
Yeah.
I'll go for both endings for sure. I just am holding off on doing the normal ending right now.
Yeah,
I'm like, I feel like doing this thing.
Yeah, I'll probably just go for the true ending. That's just how I roll usually. I try to go for the best ending of the game. Some games I do like to go through and make sure that I see all the endings if there are multiple options. But I'll probably just go for the true ending. Anyway, that's still a little ways away for me. So that pretty much covers what we've been playing. Like I said, it's been a busy week for me. Aaron, presumably you've had a busy week as well.
You could say that.
We're getting close to summer vacations, so we'll have more time soon. So yeah, let's move on now to the news. We've already talked about Hearthstone coming out for the iPad for reals this time in iTunes stores worldwide. Whoa, what was that?
Not Canada land.
Yes. Your microphone had kind of a buzz for a second. Were you moving it around?
Yeah, I was just adjusting it. So
okay. Well, just
my mouse comfortably.
Oh, okay. Move it a little bit closer. Sorry about this, people. Really entertaining radio, I know.
Okay.
Anyway, we talked about Hearthstone on the iPad. Another game, speaking of game releases on additional platforms, I haven't played FF14 in a while, but Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn is now out on the PlayStation 4. That came out this past Monday, April 14th. You can upgrade, if you already have the PS3 version and you have a PS4, you can upgrade from the PS3 version to PS4 for free without having to buy another copy of the game or buy the PS4 version of the game. But after you upgrade, your account will only be flagged for being able to play on the PS4. So you can't do the free upgrade and then still play on both the PS3 and PS4. Between Final Fantasy XIV and MLB 14 The Show, which comes out early next month for the PS4, I'm almost sold on getting one. I'm not entirely convinced yet. I do kind of want to wait for more exclusives for the PS4 to come out, not just games that I already have on other platforms like on my PS3, but more next gen exclusives. So maybe within the next few months I'll have ended up getting a PS4. But between some of the screenshots, some of the video that I've seen of both Final Fantasy XIV and MLB 14 on the PlayStation 4, the graphics capabilities of the next gen consoles are really great, and it's a pretty stark contrast to as good as the PS3's graphics are. PlayStation 4 games do look ridiculously good, so I'm pretty close to being convinced to pick one up. And incidentally, speaking of the PlayStation 4, it just hit 7 million in sales, so it's doing pretty well.
Hey.
All right, couple items of Nintendo news here now. This past week, we got a preview of another Super Smash Bros. Ability, and this time it's Greninja's Shadow Sneak ability, which is a way for him to teleport around on the map. We found out about it, as usual, from a post on the Miiverse by game director Masahiro Sakurai. And it is basically what it says. Greninja can disappear and then reappear on a different part of the map to sneak attack another character. And you basically, how it works is you hold down a button to charge it up and then release it to teleport. You can hold down the button for longer to teleport farther across the map, and you can move around freely while charging up the ability, which is really interesting. So Greninja is definitely shaping up to be what looks like probably my favorite character in the new Smash Brothers game. We'll have a link to the Miiverse post, which has a couple of screenshots of the ability, and it definitely looks really cool. He's using it on a Charizard in the screenshot that Sakurai posted, so it definitely looks pretty cool. So again, we'll have a link to that in the show notes for you to check it out. And again, that game is going to be coming out on the 3DS sometime this summer, and then for the Wii U in the winter, probably around the holiday season. Next up, there has been a price cut to some Nintendo 3DS games on the eShop. 5 games have had their prices cut from $39.99 to $29.99. Those games are Mario Kart 7, Super Mario 3D Land, New Super Mario Bros. 2, Animal Crossing New Leaf, and Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. And 3 of those games, Mario Kart, Super Mario 3D Land, and New Super Mario Bros. 2, those are actually also the top 3 best-selling 3DS games. So if you've got a 3DS like I do, and you've been meaning to pick up one or more of those games like I have, now's a great time because of that price cut. So definitely go check that out. And
sort of warning, only buy Animal Crossing if you have time for it.
Oh yeah,
That'll probably suck more of your time away than Hearthstone.
I bought Animal Crossing, but I never really got that much into it. I know people who have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours in Animal Crossing, but when I got it, I got my 3DS for Pokemon, so that was what I started playing right away first. So, and I haven't really had a whole lot of other time for other games. I've been trying to play too many games all at once as it is, so I was never really able to get into Animal Crossing. It's a good game. I just haven't spent as much time in it as some people have. But yeah, so if you haven't picked it up yet, or any of those other games, now's a great time. Save $10 than you would have if you bought them earlier. And closing out the video game news this week, Twitch plays Pokemon. Yes, it has still been going.
Exists.
It's still a thing.
Somehow.
And after beating Red, and I think it took them about 2 weeks, they mowed through Crystal. I think they went through that one pretty quickly. And then they moved on to Emerald. And that one took them a long time. And this past week, they finally beat the Elite Four and champion on attempt number 103. It took them a long time and a lot of attempts. And what finally cleared it for them was the fact that they had an Azumarill up to level 100. was what did it, basically. In the show notes, we will have a link to a YouTube video of the champion battle from Twitch Plays Pokemon Emerald, and also a link to a spreadsheet that documents all of the attempts that they had against the Elite Four in that game. It takes a second to figure out what's going on in the spreadsheet, but it is pretty cool, and it shows what Pokemon were used in each battle against which Pokemon in all of the attempts against the Elite Four. Which Pokemon came out or were switched in or fainted during a match. It's pretty cool to go through. So we'll have a link to both of those in the show notes for you to check out. Let's go on now. That pretty much does it for video games. So let's go on now to anime. All right, so I've still been watching my usual the ongoing series of this season that I've been working on. That's 1 Week Friends and Nisekoi. I finished watching Golden Time. I just finished that yesterday. It is a series that's really heavy on the drama, and especially towards the very end of the series, but and also heavy on the feels as well. But it's a good series. I definitely recommend it. I gave it a solid 8 points out of 10 on my anime list. So that was definitely something that's worth checking out. And I've also started both rewatching and rereading Sailor Moon in preparation for the upcoming series, which, as far as I know, is still scheduled to start this July. And we'll have a bit of news about that coming up pretty shortly here. Aaron, what about you? You still watching? Looks like you're still watching the same stuff.
Two things. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which the opening for part 3 is one of the best openings for any anime I've ever seen. And then I'm also watching Bleach just a little bit at a time.
Yep, still working your way through that.
Still working on that.
I haven't had much time to watch to pick Bleach back up lately. I'm still on like episode 101 to something like that. Let me see here. Yeah, 101 is where I am. So are you catching up to where I am on that?
Uh, Pretty sure I am. Last I checked, I think I'm like in the 80s.
Okay, so you're into the Bount arc now.
Yes. I'm excited to get through the Bound arc though, because I think the arc after that is where the manga was at when I picked it up. So
Okay.
I kind of want to get to that.
Yeah. What did you think of the end of the Soul Society arc?
It was a pretty nice closing. I liked
Yeah.
it.
I don't know for sure because there's kind of a big gap between what I had seen in the manga and what I've seen in the anime versus like for example, where the manga is right now in Weekly Shonen Jump. There's kind of a big jump there of stuff that I haven't seen, but I think what happened at the end of, and I don't know why I'm not saying spoilers for it. The statute of limitations is probably well over, but in case you haven't seen it and are planning on seeing it, I don't want to spoil it for you just in case. But what happens at the end of the Soul Society arc, I think does come back later on in the series at some point. I just don't know when or how. So anyway,
the Soul Society arc? Yeah, it does.
Yeah, the Soul Society arc.
It comes back in the arc right after the Bound one.
Is it the one right after the Bount one?
It is.
Okay.
That's the arc that I'm looking forward to, because that's where it was in the manga when I first got to it.
Oh, well, okay. Then I guess I do have kind of a large gap in my knowledge of what goes on in Bleach. So I guess I should work on picking that back up and get caught up finally. Anyway, just a couple of items of news here. I don't know why we haven't talked about it before, but back in March at Anime Boston, the Anime Boston convention, the dub for Attack on Titan was premiered and a preview of it was shown there at the convention. And that was following several weeks, I think, of rounds of cast announcements. And we finally now know that the Attack on Titan dub is going to be shown on Toonami on Cartoon Network starting on May 3rd. So that's just a couple of weeks from now. So if you haven't already watched it on Crunchyroll, which I believe you can watch it now without a premium subscription, I'm not 100% sure on that, but if you haven't already watched it subtitled, or if you have already watched it subtitled and want to see what the dub is like, then you're going to be able to do that. I think a box set of it is coming out soon, but if you don't want to buy that and you have Cartoon Network, then you'll be able to watch that starting on May 3rd, like I said. And I don't know why we haven't been following that more closely. I've seen news posts about it, but I guess it just slipped my mind to put them into the show notes. I usually prefer the subtitled version of anime, partly because I've been burned by really woefully terrible dubs in the past, but there are some anime that are very well dubbed, and especially more recent series and more recent dubs have been very well done. There's a dub of Toradora that's coming out soon that I've been meaning to check out and see how well that's done. So I'll probably give this a shot.
We picked a great time to get rid of our cable box.
Well, yeah, perfect timing. But you can still watch it on Crunchyroll anyway. I wonder if they'll be bringing the dub to Crunchyroll, like
Maybe.
they have both the subtitled and dubbed versions of Rurouni Kenshin on Crunchyroll. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. They'll probably put SNK on there.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Obviously, we'll let you know, and I'll
depending on how on how well it does, then I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I've already seen it subtitled.
Well, yeah. So
I don't need much of a reason to see it to see it dubbed in English, but
Yeah, and
it's a good show. I'll watch it again anyway.
Yep,
Maybe.
a really good show. It is worth watching a couple times over. I'll probably watch it mostly just to see how the dub is, and also because I still can't stop listening to the opening themes. Listening to the opening themes of Attack on Titan makes everything that you happen to be doing at the time just that much more epic. They're awesome. So anyway, there's that, and then the bit of Sailor Moon news that I mentioned we would have is that there's going to be a live stream on April 27th, so it's about a week, yeah, a bit more than a week from now, and it's going to be from the Nico Nico Chokaigi 3 convention in Japan, and what we've heard is that the cast for the upcoming series will be announced at that convention. So we'll have more about that after it happens, obviously. But that's going to be interesting to see. Like, if are they going to bring back any of the old cast members in their roles from the original anime or in cameo roles? So the voice actors from the original Sailor Moon anime are 20 years older now than they were when the original series premiered. So I don't know, that's going to be interesting to see. We'll if there are any familiar names, obviously we will report here about what goes on at that. So excuse me for a sec. So we'll that's definitely going to be pretty neat to see how they go about that. That pretty much does it for anime now, so let's go on. And this week we do actually have
one more thing.
Actually, this week it's two one more things. It kind of to make up for not having one last week. And they are both kind of music themed. The first one is it's something that has to be seen to be believed, and we've kind of got a preview of it here if you're watching the video on YouTube, either live or after the fact. But there's a band called Kirby's Dream Band, and they've done an awesome rock metal cover of the trainer battle and gym leader battle music from Pokemon Red and Blue. And we'll have a link to the video in the show notes. Here's just a short clip of the song. This is just about a 45-second clip of the song. And this is a live band performing this, and it's if you're watching the video, it's not synced up with the music video, but the music video itself is awesome too. The video is quite possibly the best thing ever. What really makes it is the bass player with the Butterfree hat that its wings flap whenever he bangs his head.
And for those of you who aren't watching the stream but are listening to this at home, the whole band is dressed up in pink Kirby shirts.
Yes.
And it's a bunch of these manly looking muscular men with tattoos and stuff, and they're all wearing pink Kirby shirts.
Yes, the band, like I said, it's called Kirby's Dream Band. Their thing is rock covers of video game music. But yeah, they're all wearing the drummer. They're all like metal band, rock band guys. The drummer has all these tattoos and everything, but he's wearing a pink tank top with the Kirby face on it right in the middle, and they're all wearing like pink shorts, and they're also all wearing Pokemon hats. So the video is a spectacle. It has to be seen to be believed. And again, we'll have a link to that in the show notes, and we'll also have a link to where you can find them on Bandcamp. The album that song is part of is called The Pink Album. And it's an album of video game rock covers. There's music there from Final Fantasy IV, from Chrono Trigger, obviously from Kirby. And you can name your price for the digital version of the album, or you can buy a CD for $10 or a limited edition vinyl of the album for $25. So again, we'll have links to that in the show notes. And then there's one other musical thing that I wanted to mention. If you're familiar at all with the Frog Pants Network, you've probably heard of or heard some of the music of the Andrew Allen Trio. It's a jazz trio that does, they do jazz covers of a bunch of different kinds of music. They've done albums of video game covers, of Star Trek covers, and they are doing a Kickstarter right now for their next project, which is a album of superhero music covers, superheroes from the Marvel and DC film and television franchises. If you're watching our video stream right now, this is their Kickstarter video from their Kickstarter page. They're trying to raise $18,000. They've got a bit less than 4 days left, I think, to go in their campaign, and they're still several $1,000s short. So again, we'll have a link to this in the show notes so that you can go check it out and back them if it's the sort of thing that interests you. And I just want to play real quick a clip from their Star Trek themed cover album. This is the theme from Star Trek, the original series, done by the Andrew Allen Trio. This is just a short clip from that. And if you're, yes, it's very smooth jazz-y. If you're watching the Kickstarter video, you saw there Andrew Allen, who's the pianist for the Andrew Allen Trio. He was the guy in the blue shirt, and the bald guy that you can see on the side there, that's Brian Ibbett, host of the Coverville podcast, manager of the Coverville Records label through which the albums by the Andrew Allen Trio have been produced and released. And that clip that I played there just now was the theme from Star Trek from their album Smooth Federation, which has a bunch of jazz Star Trek covers. So that's pretty much the same sort of thing that you can expect from their Secret Identity project. And again, that's on Kickstarter now, a few days left for that. So if that sounds like something that you'd like to support, we'll have a link in the show notes so you can go pitch in and help them get the funding that they need. So yeah, they'll have presumably they'll have they mentioned in the Kickstarter description they'll have like Danny Elfman's Batman soundtrack from the 80s, the X-Men cartoon theme, the old 60s.
You can't have superhero without you can't have DC superheroes without Batman.
Oh yes, and they'll also have the classic Batman TV theme from back in the 60s, the Spider-Man theme from that era. It sounds like they've got some really great stuff in the store for this. So I really hope that they're able to reach their funding goal so that they're able to release it. And both of their other albums, Smooth Federation, their Star Trek cover album, and Free Play, which is their video game cover album, those are both definitely worth checking out as well. So we'll have a link to it in the show notes. Go back them. Go check out their other albums. That's the Andrew Allen Trio. Definitely a great group if jazz is your thing. That's pretty much going to do it for this week. If you want to find our show notes, which will have links to everything that we talked about in this episode, link to download the show in MP3, link to the video on YouTube, links to our Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube pages, our RSS feed, so you can subscribe to the show there, link to iTunes, so you could subscribe to the show there. All of that is on our website, which is at lifeisleet.com. That's LIFEISLEET.com. My name is Jesse. I write this thing, so if anything is wrong, blame me. All the stuff that I do is at jbhanna.net or at jbhanna on Twitter. Aaron streams things every once in a while at twitch.tv/Plato0. That's Plato and then the number 0. And we'll post a link on our Facebook page whenever he or I do any streaming of things. We haven't had a whole lot of time, either of us, to do much streaming lately, but when we do, that's where we'll announce it so that you can check it out there. If you want to contact us, if you've got any feedback, any comments, suggestions, audio attachments that you want us to play, recommendations for games, anime, manga that you want us to review, send all of that to us at podcast@lifeisleet.com. That's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and listening. For me, for Aaron, until next week, everyone in the sound of my voice, take care.